y'all. Welcome to another Got Something For Ya. Today, we are talking about episode 6 of Survivor 48, the Earn the Merge episode, or the Earn the Jur episode, or the whatever we're doing nowadays in Survivor New Era when it comes to the merge. Ollie and Phil, as always, I am so excited to talk about this episode with the two of you. And of course, we do have our live chat open. If you happen to be catching us at this time, yes, we are live. So go ahead and let us know your thoughts about the episode as we discuss it as a group. I can't wait to chat with all of y'all. But as for a Earn the Merge episode, just high level thoughts here. Phil, how was it? How was your viewing experience of this?
You know, I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I have been poking around a little bit more than I used to, thanks to our friend Ollie. I go, wow, social media is so much more fun than I realized. After that Thomas tweet, you can't get me off that thing. But I've been poking around, and I have seen people say that some people found this episode a little bit boring, which is weird because I did not get that. But I'm happy to discuss with you two and see if maybe either one of you felt that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I can understand why people may have found it boring, but the thing is, I also understand the gameplay that we saw. So it's just one of those things where it's like, well, you're there to win $1 million, and sometimes things are going to be a little bit slower on the island. That's just my thought.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. We kind of know the Mergatory episode. It's always going to be like whoever's making the most waves, and everyone's just going to want to slide under the radar and do something easy. And I put in quotes.
I did like the fact that there were like 3 potential targets. That's always exciting, right?
Yes.
Like, where are the chips going to land? And I see that the live chat is filling up. Jay says, "Ayo, it's literally just a normal merge. Calling it the Mergatory is just dumb rebranding." Yeah, I mean, Jay, I think we're leaning more and more towards this. You're actually right. I agree with you. This was a normal merge because remember, we've had seasons in the past where they have merged, one person wins immunity and one person is voted out and doesn't make the jury. So that's a merge. Charity just doesn't get the special buff. Chris says, "How about that April Fool's joke about the merge structure?" Chris, we are on to you, buddy. We all know that trick. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. I was really happy with the start of this episode when we saw the fallout. We got some answers as to what actually happened with Bianca's blindside.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so excited to talk about this. Wait a second. So, sometimes it takes, the beats by Matthew to get me there. This was very, very, this was due by Survivor. They left us on a bit of a cliffhanger. They never showed us a scene of Cedric talking to Chrissy and getting the information across to the point where I am happy to come on here and admit that I was so wrong about what happened here. I believe that this was a true split vote that ended up just working with just Cedric flying to the other side, and that he was the only one in the know about the missed vote. Little did we all know, he got to speak with Chrissy, which, again, makes Bianca's exit interviews even more confusing, considering she outwardly was like, oh, yeah, no, this, I watched Cedric like a hawk. He never talked to anybody. So, it's interesting to sort of even like pontificate exactly when this conversation went down. But it is great that they gave us the answer. I am someone, I will not get upset at Survivor leaving us on a cliffhanger so long as they do this the following episode. I do not. I would be a bit disappointed if they never explain themselves. This was great. Thankful. Save reaction, also insane, but we'll get to that in a second.
I just love how petty it was. It was like, Cedric, no, you lied to me. And then it's like Cedric gives her the context. And then when she was like, right, who voted for Bianca? And then it was just, what are you voting for me? And I was like, oh, I love you, Say. It's just so funny. I kind of felt like she was real, though. She was like, look, you owe me just as much as an apology as I owe Chrissy. And I was like, I love the fact that you're still saying to Mitch that he owes you an apology for voting for you. I was like, just those little things. I was like, that's hilarious to me.
Yeah, Say's reaction here was I loved it because, you know, the heat of the moment, her name did appear at tribal council. She does know that Cedric has written down her name before. Of course, she's going to think it was Cedric's vote of all people. But then Cedric, you know, sets the record straight about what actually went down there. Where is the footage of him talking to Chrissy? We're always saying Survivor has the footage. I do not believe. I'm just going to say, I don't think they have it. I don't think they have that footage.
I don't think they have it.
They would have included it because it would have made it more exciting to see if it would have paid off.
Yeah. Well, they would have included it in this part, like, if anything.
I do think that they would have set up the previous episode the exact same way. But to Ollie's point, I think that they would have shown it at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Either way, I agree. I have heard some thoughts online that it was sort of said in one of the no-no zones, which, you know, I guess a little behind the scenes that I've heard through the grapevine is that, you know, just even, you know, walking to and from tribal, they are on lockdown by producers. They're not supposed to be talking, but you know, these are humans. They, even though you tell them, hey, you're not allowed to talk, like they will be whispering. They will be trying to get a word out. And during those moments, the biggest reason why they're not allowed to talk, from my understanding, is that it's because there are no cameras on them. And to your point, they don't want to have a conversation, switch a vote off camera where they then cannot cut to a scene that's like, oh, look, this is what had happened. So that's definitely a possibility that this was just one of those rare moments that, you know, something happened in a zone where it probably shouldn't.
I mean, it's pretty rare. It is pretty rare that something, let's just say that is the case of what happened. I just can't imagine another reason why they wouldn't show the footage. But yes, this was I think this was a very exciting camp to come back to before we end up finding out that they are going to be dropping their buffs and heading over to the different beaches. They are all joining together. What relationships were you all excited to see kind of reconnect?
Mary and Say.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one, right? And I think that, like, this played out in the most optimal way that it could have played out. I think this was so funny, so humorous. Cheers to the editors for Say to come back and be like, oh my God, seeing Mary again, the flowery music in the background. It's just so great. Oh my God, so tender. And then it cuts to Mary that's like, yeah, I'm actually not happy to see her. I am anxious all over again. I don't want to play with Say. This is scary. Like, that sort of just dichotomy is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I love them both. And I still do think that they are more similar than they are different.
Agreed. I completely agree. Like, I was so excited to see the dynamic. And I loved that they kind of did the little, like, side-by-side confessionals of, I'm so excited. Nope. And I think Mary, like, I think has every right to be like, sorry, wary of Say. So I am intrigued to see how their dynamic's gonna continue and develop kind of moving forward, because I think it's definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a new dynamic. There are a bunch of new tribe members that they now have to deal with and figure out how each new person fits into their game. And I guess the two of them have to figure out, okay, are they still going to be against each other for fun, or are they really going to make this happen? And I agree. I do think Mary has every right to be a little bit wary. Jay has a really good question in the chat. Am I the only one who thinks merging at 13 is just a tad too early? I think merge should happen at final 12 at the very least. I have a thought about this, but Ollie and Phil, do either of you?
Go ahead, Ollie.
Oh. I guess I could see the story for 12. So yeah, I go 12.
Yeah, I definitely think that merging at 12 would probably make for us to be able to follow the ball a little bit easier and get a closer look at, like, actual conversations. Obviously, in this sort of setup, and honestly a new era period, I feel like a lot of the merge boots have been like just the person that's sort of like, I don't think they're going after, like, oh, challenge beast, oh, this person's going to be a big threat. They usually go after the person that they are most annoyed with, or that is, like, causing the most chaos. If you think about people like Rome, Say, I believe at the merch
Ellie.
there. Yes. And Gabler was calling out. Yes, Ellie. That's right. That was another merge boot. So the easy vote. That's right, Chris. And
Yeah.
so I think that merging at a smaller number, even by just one, maybe it would lead to people going after. I don't know, maybe someone that's more of a threat than just an easy boot. But I'm not sure. I definitely think that we would be able to get into more details of why they're going after certain people because you just don't have as many people that you need to focus on.
I think we have to remember in Jeff's mind, they are merging at 12. This is not the merge. This is earn the merge, according to him. But I'm okay with this. I think my bigger concern is how large is the jury, the actual jury, going to be. I'm okay if there are numbers going about, but I mean, like, let's face it. I don't think besides Australian Survivor, we don't have like a tribe of 13 ever, voting at one singular tribal council, except in Australian Survivor, typically it's 12. So, it's good. I mean, Randy, 10, I do like 10. It feels more exclusive. So yeah, I am okay with this though. I think it's totally fine. But we do get a very exciting little twist, as always. I've come to expect it now that there is some sort of a run through the forest and try to find something, but they all have to read this note together that basically says there is an advantage hidden somewhere at your camp and go. This is fun.
Go. Yeah.
I've enjoyed this. And I think this is the best version of it, if I can say. I think that the shot of Charity running after the it's not an idol, but the advantage, and say cutting in from the left side. I mean, that was beautiful. The cinematography this season, and I've said it honestly, I feel like every single season that we have podcasted in the new era, the editing has been fantastic. I mean, camera work, insane. So this is just another example of that. This was great.
Yeah, I liked that because obviously we did kind of see it come into play last season with when Genevieve got it. So I was intrigued to see how they were going to kind of differ because obviously they wouldn't have seen how 47 did it. I was having a little look. I was like, can I see a buoy in the water? No, okay. But I was really I was slightly happy that Say got it. And I think because we kind of knew what was probably going to happen, I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious. Of all people, it's Say. I was like, this is going to be funny. This is going to be good TV.
You know what's funny about this is that with the Survivor 47 advantage thing, like people were giving up because they were just like, they were just like bored of the search and they gave up. It was only Genevieve who was like, that buoy is suspicious. I love that production said, we are going to make it so completely obvious that this is the advantage. It has a podium. It has a sign. It has a fancy looking idol. They said, you're going to find it quickly and we're not going to waste any more time there. I thought that was very funny.
That was good. They learned from their mistakes.
Do y'all like milk?
Oh my God. This conversation was hilarious. I mean, you could not write this. Just the two biggest, most jacked guys on the island bonding over their enjoyment of whole milk is something I did not have on my bingo card. This was funny to me.
I can't believe that one of the main storylines of season 48 is milk. Did not have that on my bingo card. The fact that we have talked about milk so much is starting to become hilarious.
I don't know what to say. I didn't know like milk was this sought after. Good for them for like finding that connection.
See, my question is because obviously I'm British, and he keeps saying like whole milk 2%. All that. This makes no sense to me. So I don't know what the difference between whole and 2% is. Like, if there are any UK or European people that may know, tell me.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you are used to drinking 2% milk and you drink whole milk, it will feel like you are drinking melted ice cream. And if you are used to drinking whole milk and you were drinking 2% milk, you will probably feel like you were drinking the most watered down milk that you've ever tasted in
So-
your life.
Diet milk.
Okay,
Yeah.
but so is it like labeled? Is it labeled differently? Because for us, our milk is like so ours have different colors. Like we have like a red label, a green label, a blue label.
I mean,
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah,
Okay.
we have colors over here.
Okay. I'm still not. I think drinking a whole milk on its own is vile, but that's just my opinion. I'm not a dairy person, so
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I like a lot of like it's been studied. I don't think that like humans need milk like whole like we don't need whole milk after like 25 or like 20 like there's like just it doesn't really do much for your but clearly it does something for the body. I mean, these two guys are absolutely giga jacked. So maybe I'll delve into.
Can I bring Chris Dixon's comment, because this is definitely the podcast name for these two. Got milk for you. That is definitely that. If them two star podcast, got milk for you.
I can see it.
I like it, Chris. Well, I mean, look, this is what happens. We make new connections. We find out some fun facts about each other. And then I found it very, very, well, actually, before I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I do have to get this in here. Eva does tell Joe that she has Star's idol, and we it's a public idol. Everyone knows about this idol. But this is good
to know. But then this is also when they discuss the physical alliance.
They come up with this alliance, right? And it has David, Kyle, Shaheen. It's the 5 of them, right?
I believe Joe, Eva, Shaheen.
Joe, Eva, Shaheen, Kyle, David.
Not a bad crew. When you're in a tribe of 13, having that, maybe they could have pulled a few more people in at this point, but they do have a nice group coming together here. And I found it so funny that David, in his confessional, was like, I'm going to get rid of anyone who lies, who cheats, who steals, who plays in immunity challenges, who wins immunity challenges, who talks to Jeff, who votes at tribal council,
I wrote down the rant.
He says, I'm basically going to vote out anyone who plays Survivor.
He said, and I quote, if you're lying, if you're manipulating, if you're a strategist, if you're a puzzle solver, if you're a social player, you are now the target. And I do want to preference by saying, I want to try and give David slightly the benefit of the doubt in the sense that he's on an island, he's malnourished, he's dehydrated. Maybe he didn't mean it as he meant it. That being said, David, you have lied to people in this game. You have lied to Charity multiple times. But also, he says in there, if you're a puzzle solver, you're a target now. David, didn't you do the puzzle this episode?
Like I said, anybody who is playing Survivor, David is going to target. And I'm glad we're having this discussion now, because I do get concerned. Like a group is always good to have. I do get concerned about how they're like teeing up their group dynamic, which the slower gameplay, like they talk about not needing the flashy moves that we've come to know in the new era. To be completely honest, I feel like flashy moves have always been a part of Survivor. I do think that new era tends to, in the edit, showcase people as saying, I need this for my resume. I need this for my resume. So I understand what they're saying here, but we have to remember a lot of that fancy gameplay is just trying to get through another day.
My benefit of the doubt here is that what David could be sort of talking about is, in the new era, we have become so accustomed to, you have to cut your number one ally, you have to cut your allies. And, people are cutting their allies, sooner and sooner, to the point where it's just pretty much public knowledge at this point, considering how much he championed her in the final 3. If Kenzie if her actual plans in her game of her season played through the way that she wanted them to, she would have lost the game because she would have voted off Tiffany, and Tiffany would not have championed her in the end, and it ruins her whole game. I think that people have gotten so obsessed with voting off their allies that it actually, like, it can be a bit of a detriment. And I think that David is sitting here believing that he's reinventing the wheel. But at the end of the day, I think that he is just like, my take on it was, we've become so obsessed with cutting your allies. Let's get an actual group to the final three that we're working with, and not sort of turn cheek right at the end. Like, let's have a JT and Steven final two. Let's have a Tony and Wu final two. Although Tony was obviously a lot more malicious about his goings on. But that's the point. Bringing someone that you were actually friends with on top of just maybe having a little bit of strategy and loyalty. That's my that was
and because
really quick, can we pull up Chris's comment there? Yeah, very right, Phil. I thought so too, Chris.
Yep, sure.
Right.
I was see which one, and then it became very obvious.
I was like, yeah, I do agree with you, Phil. And this is why I kind of want to slightly give David the benefit and that group the benefit of the doubt, because when you look at it, it is quote unquote old school gameplay in the sense of like you kind of stick more together with a group, which I have no issues with, and I like that we're seeing that change. I think where it comes a bit muddy for me is you heard a lot of them talk about honor and integrity, which I think is absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying you're going to play a game with honor and integrity. I think it's when you sit there and then say you put honor and integrity and then bring loyalty and honesty into it. I think you can play a very honorable, a game with integrity. But I think if you then say, I was honest, I was loyal, because you're going to have people that sit there and go, well, did you say to me that you were going to keep me and then vote me out? That's not being honest. So when you try and link honor and integrity with honesty and loyalty, and which is what I think they're trying to do, that's where I worry for them. To answer your question, Chris, no. I am not. That's where I worry for not just David. I know Kyle mentioned it as well. Just because it really does get muddy. You can play an honor. You can say that your honor and integrity was sticking with your group and going as far to the end as possible. But I think when, obviously, as David said, if you're lying, if you're manipulating, if all of this, it's Survivor, my darling. Like, you're going to have to lie to someone at some point, even if it's a little lie.
I think you make a great point. If you get to final two or final three or whatever we're doing, you have lied to someone at some point. You have manipulated. You have played, to whatever extent that the jury sees, worthy. But you've done a little bit of all of that, and you're going to have to answer to that. I think we oftentimes see players fall into the trap, like you said, Ollie, of getting to the end and saying, I played a loyal game. And then everyone's like, okay, what about me? I think if anyone can get their alliance to the end by sticking together, I think it's going to be this group, like David, Joe, Shaheen, especially. I'm like, Eva, like I don't see them turning on each other if they don't have to.
I agree.
I agree. And I honestly, I look forward to seeing them sort of strive to make that happen. But what I hope is, this is just my whole thing, I hope that it is not an easy process for them. Genuinely. Like, just sort of getting this big group together and pagonging through to the end like that, I'm not going to find that entertaining. What I am going to find entertaining is just like the struggle to keep this big group together. And, perhaps there is, someone who's going up to Eva being like, we need to vote off Joe. And Eva is struggling with that. Like, that is going to make this really, really entertaining. Seeing them really, really, really give it their best shot to get this big group to the end. Because what I do think that you see a lot of times is like, all you need is an excuse. And a lot of people, I feel like they're like waiting for an excuse. They're like, oh my God, I hope someone comes up to me and asks me to vote off Matthew because I'll do it in a second. I just am just waiting for someone. Like, it's it's messed up. You know, I think it's messed up.
see.
I'm just like well, I mean, look, it's at the end of the day, it's Survivor, but I think that this is interesting to see people try to go for a more old school mindset
Yeah.
way of thinking in terms of alliances. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Someone put in the chat like about people who deserve the win. So like, who said it? Who said it? Who said it? Who said it? Oh, yeah,
Jay?
is it Jay? Yeah. Jay said the thing that I didn't like is when he said, "Let's give it to someone who deserves it this year."
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, it's because he thinks that Charlie deserved it over Kenzie, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're wrong, David. And you can
Okay,
fight me. I don't care. You're wrong.
we'll move on before Ollie goes down that way. So let's check in on Charity and you know what? Actually, this reminds me. The possible um uh break in their armor of the alliance is this relationship between Kyle and Camilla, because Kyle does inform Camilla that something's going on. So, you know, that is something that may interfere with this alliance's plan. So we'll just keep an eye on that. But basically here, Charity wants to vote out Eva because she has the idol. She's also in, they pretty much are able to see there's a big alliance forming. And Charity also then tells Star, just ask for the idol back. Just ask for it back.
I mean,
Okay, I need your thoughts on this, because I didn't think that was that bad of a thing to say. Like, I didn't think she was wrong for suggesting it. But I know that I have seen some discourse being like, oh, well, like, this is obviously like, this was Charity playing wrong, this was Charity playing bad, and then some people being like, no, it's absolutely fair. So I'm very intrigued to see where you two fall on this.
yeah, I mean, I think that Charity honestly fell to a lot of bad luck in her game. And I think that this is a perfect example. I don't think that this is like an awful move. I do think that this is like a move where it's like, okay, like it might not work, but to be able to think that like, oh, like me sort of trying to hype up Star to like, oh, like get over there, stick up for yourself, grab your idol, that is yours, you know, like you shouldn't feel like you have to give it to her. I think that that's sort of where she was coming from originally. / hey, if I know that Star has it, Star is closer to me than Eva is. This is good for me, and I don't have to get my hands too dirty because I'm sending Star to have this interaction.
Yeah.
I'm not having it. However, you know, I just don't think, I think it's so hard to do the mental math to be like, oh, Star's going to go up to them and tell them that I told her to grab the idol from Eva. Like it just all went really, really wrong. And I do think what you can say is that this went quite possibly the worst way that it could have, but I don't necessarily think that it was like to her fault of making an awful move per se.
She gave the name of Eva to Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait,
Did
what do you mean?
like did she fill Star in on like the I want Eva out plan here?
I'm not that I remember. I know she filled it in with Mitch and Camilla, but I can't remember if she mentioned it to Star.
All right,
I'm not positive.
Someone let me know in the chat, because I don't telling Star that she can ask for her idol back. Do people? I don't. Are people really thinking that this is some hit against her game, like some serious hit against her game? I don't understand that, because this feels like nothing. You know, this just feels like, Star, go get your idol back. And you know, there might be some ulterior motives there, but like, to Phil's point, I think that Charity had some bad luck, some non-charitable moments in this game. And we see this right here when her name gets thrown out, you know, to Eva by Star, because Star and Eva are friends now after the whole idol exchange. So not good. Not a good storm for Charity. Isn't it also so unlucky that Eva and Star were enemies on their tribe? So you would think you'd be in safe hands, you know, painting some sort of a target on Eva to Star at this point.
Yeah, it is very sad. Like now it's like, oh, now suddenly Star and Eva are besties, and now like, it's just unfortunate timing.
Jay had a question in the scene with Mitch. Mitch said, I believe one of the 6 of us are going to win, referring to one of the Sivas. So maybe foreshadowing that a Siva wins. Could be. You know,
Maybe.
Jay, if that happens, I will remember. I might forget. Just remind me. I will shout out your comment again if that's what happens. But anything is possible. And thank you for letting me know that you can't remember what happened with Eva and Star. Also, that's good. Or with Star and Charity. All right, let's go to the immunity challenge, which was an interesting one. Lots of stages, lots of fun. Ollie, what did you think of this immunity necklace?
I think this necklace is really beautiful. Like, I really think it's pretty. Like, I don't know, but like, I loved the colors. I love that they had linked a couple of like the tribe colors in, and then the little motif was the like merge buff color. I also I realized at the end, well, when I was watching this, I was like, because you can see the merge color anyway, right behind them, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's blue," and then I think people surely must have been like, "Oh, yeah, I think it's really pretty. I like it."
Yeah, it dawned on them. They were like, "Oh, that's why." They just thought it was part of the design of the challenge. I think it's a really nice necklace. I like the beadwork. It is a spark for me. Also, the pendant reminds me of a donut, so that's always good. So
It reminded me of Lord of the Rings.
Haven't seen it. All right, so
Next.
immunity challenge. They split up into teams, and the team that wins the team part, they get to go to a merge feat. They win a reward. They win a reward. They win food. Because Say found that advantage, she gets to sit out and gets to move on direct. I'm like, that's great. That's an advantage I want in a challenge.
Exactly.
And they do this.
Hold on. Can we just go back to the previous slide though?
Why?
Because can we congratulate the target himself, David, for solving the puzzle?
Ollie.
I chose violence.
Leave him alone.
I just like when Joe told Cedric that he could use him as a ladder and step on him, and I think that he meant like his back or shoulder, and he took a like boot to the face, like hard and like for an extended amount of time. It was wild.
These games are dangerous when you let your intrusive thoughts get the better of you in these things, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was funny.
Man, they all chose violence. This has been a very violent week for challenges. An Australian Survivor, if you are watching along with us, we do our recaps on Thursdays with Valeria. We got people getting dropped. It was just madness. So make sure you're checking in on that if you are watching this season of Australian Survivor. So with this, Phil's all caught up. That was a nice little surprise.
That's right. I hopped in just like that.
I enjoyed it.
So then we get this. I love this challenge, and I find it hilarious that they decided to switch the statues that I usually know are on top of these things for softballs, instead. And because they know now that statues are heavier objects
and could give someone concussion.
Could.
Could.
So we do this challenge. I would like to think that I'm good at this challenge.
I don't know how I would do.
I just really, really like these challenges. It's sort of like the endurance space. Like you really, really don't have any clue who might take this home. I mean,
yeah.
And the different strategies too. There's not like an optimal one strategy. I love that some of them are looking right up. David is looking straight forward the entire time, like that.
$1 million smile.
$1 million smile. That's right. I was digging this. I like this challenge a lot.
And it's a good one, and ends up that the first winner of individual immunity is Kyle. Yay. I felt so bad when he was all muddy and Jeff was like, here's your new buff, put it on. I would have been like,
no.
Like, yeah, I was like holding it very carefully, trying not to get it too dirty. I don't like when they're about to go eat at the sanctuary, and I absolutely get so disgusted
Yeah.
They're eating without like rinsing their hands off in the sea first.
No. Yeah.
That's just a me thing.
Sorry.
And I know
No,
it's
it's not
the
just a
thing
you
'cause they
thing.
do all the tests and stuff, but still.
I can appreciate that. I think a lot of people could.
Thank you. What happens? Star really steps up this episode, especially. I mean, just in the edit that it is showing us. I was really happy with Star's performance this
Same.
episode overall.
Same.
I know we're gonna get to that moment with Cedric later, but I like that she was just like not afraid to talk game.
Mhm.
Yeah. I really appreciated that because we saw the confession. She was like, my cousin said, don't throw out a name. Oh, okay, I'll throw out a name. And I was like, yeah, fair. Like, I think completely go for it. At this point, it's kind of one of those, like, everyone's going to be stepping over toes. And I think she already knew that Charity's name was out there and had a bit of traction. So I think that was very fair. And I liked there was this kind of almost not diplomacy, but you had them kind of talking the pros and cons for Charity, and then Eva comes up and you see kind of the back and forth. And I think it was really interesting how they were kind of panning everything, because you kind of obviously to our mind, we can kind of then we suss it out quite quickly of, oh, these people are protecting Eva, these people are wanting to maybe go for Charity, and like I thought it was really just quite good editing. Whatever.
Yay. Sorry, I'm completely blanking on like I have certain moments. I also just realized that my notes disappeared from the deck, so we're gonna improv here for a little bit, which is great. But yeah, I like Ollie. It's great that you were able to pick up on that storytelling there. I mean, it is nice when we get those little hints as to what is to come. Jay, I also agree. I'd love that Star got a lot of screen time this episode. I agree, long overdue. Then again, we have to remember her tribe never went to tribal council, so there were never, camp discussions. Jay also said, if I had a nickel for every time a Kyle won individual immunity at the Mergatory, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it has happened twice.
I literally, I said the same.
Excellent quote. All right, and then we have our losers of the day. That was mean. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that.
That's what Jeff says. You're quoting Jeff.
I'm quoting Jeff. Okay, I'm just quoting Jeff, everyone.
Yeah.
Otherwise
known as the
losers.
Yeah. He makes them say it sometimes. It's wild.
I don't know if I would troll him and say the second place. I don't know. Something to make it not as hurtful. We do find out that Cedric is taking this loss really hard because of his personal performance here. This is the first hint of it. We do have that moment later, but I do know that it kind of comes up here. What else happens here?
This is where they kind of start suggesting say. They're kind of like, oh, well, maybe we can do say. And then there's also kind of there would be another photo of Charity and Mitch off to the side with Joe, Shaheen, and Eva, where they're kind of talking and being like, no, it has to be Charity. And they kind of start to notice, well, they start to talk about, we don't have the photo, sorry, where they start to kind of notice that maybe they will want to do say to keep Siva in as an option, but it's more so afterwards. Because the next one's say Gloaton.
Go ahead, Ollie. Yeah, sorry, yeah, Phil.
Well, no, I was going to just say that that it's interesting to just be living in this world now for how long have we've been here for about 5 years, where we do not see the entire tribe get to eat together, and instead it's like half of you are going to starve, half of you are going to be able to eat, and I think I still find it a little bit strange that it after the immunity, like they just split up and half of them get the strong get stronger and the weak get weaker. Like this, it's got to be a bit of a mind game at this, at this like big moment in the game, I would imagine.
Do you like the fact that it was only one person to win immunity as opposed to an entire group of people? I like.
Yes,
I like it too. They did that last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
it's just nice. You know, it's a nice change. I've never really liked the one entire group has immunity, but everyone can vote type of situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun, but I found it got old. So I'm glad they kept it this way for this season. Um, Ollie, did you touch on this, or Phil? Did you have anything?
Yeah,
to touch
this was
on?
when Say was gloating.
So
Remember?
funny.
Remember
So
when?
funny. Mm-hmm.
Remember when she said last episode that people need to be a bit more humble and not gloat about their winning things, and she's there telling everyone about all the food. Love you, Say. Love you, Say. That was hilarious.
So funny. This is so
Yeah.
funny because she is the main person the last time that was like, you know, have a little grace when you win. And she's here like, oh my God, there's this and there's this and there's this. And it tracks her saying this in multiple different conversations with completely different people. Like, Say is amazing. I do not know how we got her on television, but I'm so thankful. So thankful.
But also with this moment, what I loved is you have them talking like this, and then literally the camera kind of just cuts to Charity and Mitch, who literally go, and you see Mitch like break the fourth wall, staring into the camera, being like, and then they just, and like Mitch ends with, well, I'm so happy you got to go. I was like, the passive aggressive, like, just, it was so funny on all accounts. It was just one of those like subtle funny moments that if you rewatch that back, you'll find it hilarious because all the undertones and the like just the subtle little just annoyance is hilarious.
My favorite part was when we got a confessional from her talking about how everyone expects her to come here and be talking too much, but instead she's keeping it low key. And her keeping it low key was going and telling everyone how they lost and how she won and how delicious all the food was. I just find her so funny.
I also just, to add to the hysterics here, the fact that she's lounging during it too. It's
so
just
great.
You can't script it any better. So then, and we do get another. We get a really nice moment. I think this was again a great episode for Star here, but just how she consoled Cedric in this moment, I think was really nice. It was really nice to see. Also, I just I hated seeing Cedric feel this way. It was sad. It was sad. This was hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, do you want to go first or?
I mean, I don't have too much to say on it except for like, this was, it's like, I think anytime you're watching like a grown man cry, it's a little bit like, and look, let me tell you, grown men, no matter, you should be crying, let yourself feel your emotions. But
thanks, Phil.
I think that, just like societally, it is not, there is not as much room for that to be the case a lot of times. And so you don't see it that often. And so I do feel like when you see it, it does hit more, again, not to like, not to squash anyone else crying or anything, but I do think that, seeing like, a grown man, a grown black man cry is like, that's, it is impactful. And it's nice that Star was here to console him, but I will say, I mean, even so, like he doesn't let himself sob, like he does pull himself together rather quickly. And, it's tough, when you're feeling like you're the reason why you keep losing. And you are in a lot of ways, like it's tough, it's this was a hard season or scene to watch.
Yeah, I feel like it was him. Oh, sorry, you.
No, I said it was also powerful.
Yeah, he was kind of almost admitting to himself that like, I have been slowing kind of like the teams down slightly, but like you said, Phil, I felt like it was really powerful, and I think it opened us up more to Cedric. And I agree with you, Matthew. I loved seeing Star like this. This was a really nice moment for her. It kind of reminded me almost of Kenzie when she was keeping an eye on Ben with his night terrors. Similar. I'm not saying like full on same thing, obviously, but like that thing of like, there was the human element of, no, I'm going to look up, like, I want to make sure you're okay. Like, yes, this game is stressful, but you've got this. And I just love this dynamic. I feel like we keep talking like this is the season of duos. And is there a chance that we're going to see now this duo maybe start to flourish? Because there seems to be there does seem to be a bond there between them. And I think we saw kind of that confessional with Star being like, oh no, I wanted to console him. Like, obviously, yeah, it's kind of good for my game, but I wanted to make sure he was okay and empower him, which I just thought was a really lovely human moment overall.
Yeah, I hope that it becomes something greater. I would love to
Mm.
see Star in something more solidified moving
Yeah.
forward. I think she's been playing from the bottom for a large part of this game, despite not going to tribal councils. I love that shirt. I like both of their shirts. All right. Jay also said that this was a great moment. Agreed. All right.
Yeah,
Then more chit chat, more strategy. Who are we gonna vote?
Yeah,
Oh,
this
you
is
are
obviously-
muted.
Yes, and at this point, just gonna say more strategy. At this point, the conversation is swirling around Say, around Charity, and around Eva. And I think that this is sort of when they were sort of trying to figure out, hey, do we go after Say or do we go after Charity? And in my mind, this was, yes, a conversation and discussion of who they do not get along with as much as the other. But I think that more than anything, knowing that Star's name was also out there, and frankly, floated by both Charity and Say, I think that they wanted to go with whatever option they felt would protect Eva the most. That was what I was.
Yeah, I think their other worry as well was the fact that if majority went on Say, this is kind of where the big conversation of it then keeps all 6 Siva in. Is that then kind of hurting us because potentially our allies in David and Kyle have more options, which like you saw David and Kyle both kind of be like, yeah, that is an option for us. So there is a reason to keep Star in this Charity, sorry, in the sense of like we have this option if we want to go for it. And I think they were kind of completely in the right to have that worry. So I think it would be interesting. I do like that these 3 have kind of now come together and formed this dynamic. I'm intrigued to see how they're gonna maneuver though, because I feel like they are kind of more of an obvious group. So obviously with this big of a group, I'm intrigued to see how that will shape up moving forward.
More to come. I like that shirt also. I'm just shopping right now. Good group. I think I may be sort of representing a little bit of that camp from the fans who may have found this episode to be a little bit on the slower pace, a little bit on, like, I like the discussions. I do. We were floating around the same names, and I think we did need to fill some time showing all of the different discussions, weighing out the different options. If anything, this group, definitely feels like kind of like a bit of a. Did they end up on the right side of the votes? I have to double check that. But not Shaheen. But Joe did. And not Eva or not Shaheen, but Joe did. So more discussions on the thing. Ollie, Jay, about the thing you said about Star, Jay has a concern about that. He says, the thing that worries me is that Star's edit is similar to that of people who have gone home at split tribals, which we know is happening next week.
Yeah. I mean, if that was the case, shame on you lot for doing that to the Star.
Oh, okay.
Shame.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. And then we go to a tribal council, a nice big tribal council. I was so happy to see a full house. You all know how I've been feeling about a tribe of 6 going to tribal council. It's fun the first time, and then as it dwindles down, it just gets less and less exciting. So I liked seeing this ginormous group of people here.
Yeah, I think that, like, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the tribal council is a whole aesthetic. It is a whole vibe, and I believe that the contestants are a part of it. And I do think that seeing 6 people sit there versus seeing this giant camp of 13 all sitting here, like, this makes tribal council feel epic to me, honestly. More epic than when there are just 6 people sitting there. And yeah, I loved it. And with Kyle sitting in the middle with the necklace around him, I mean, genuinely, when they had like the wide shot of all of them, I was like, man, this is like beautiful. Truly, you know, it is a painting, you know. So
Yeah.
I really dig it.
Yeah, I agree. I think like if you like paused the episode and looked at the group as a whole, the amount of different connections and like stuff going on is really cool to see as like a fan who like appreciates the strategy, because you're like so many intertwined things. I also loved just the first discussion where there was like 4 different analogies going on. Like we
You
had the
loved it?
house party, we had the dog park, we had Jeff doing Dancing with the Stars, basically. There was a dysfunctional family. It was intriguing.
Yeah, I feel like the house party reference really, really hit for a lot of people. And I will say for me as well, just like the thought and imagery of Jeff Probst at a house party is absolutely hilarious to me. And I feel like him even just, you know, painting the scene and doing his little dance, I'm like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's, you know, he loves this analogy. And I feel like you can always tell when he loves an analogy. Like, for example, Pilots and Passengers on Edge of Extinction, he loved that one. I mean, he stretched it out as much as he could.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was one, the second that someone had said house party, he was just all in on that analogy. And I like when Jeff gets excited about an analogy. I don't know why. He gets in a special mood.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
I will say, I'll accept one analogy per episode. I think having all of these analogies coming in did not make sense. I don't know. It was hard to follow.
No.
What?
Oh no, I was going to say, just for that house party one, and I feel like David's going to love me saying this, like, Jeff milked it for every ounce.
Whoa! That's good. That's good. Points.
Wasn't planned, but then I realized when I had that thought in my head, I was like, milk joke.
I feel like you need to go onto Survivor prepared with some analogies. You know, there are common scenarios that players will find themselves in on a season that can be applicable to many different tribal councils. I mean, I do like the house party motif too. I actually thought that one made a lot of sense. If I was at that house party, I would definitely be showing off my Funko Pops, especially if they were made by Todd Herzog, which reminds me, we should take a very quick break and let's just show off some of Todd's creations.
What's up, guys? I'm Todd Herzog, the winner of Survivor China, and I am here with Survivor Now podcast, the best source for Survivor information, to show off what I do for a living. So I make custom Funko Pops. If you haven't seen or heard, you can check it out on Instagram at Todd's Pop Shop, or you can message me, toddspopshop@gmail.com, to order your own. And if you mention this podcast, you will get $10 off and a free torch. So it's pretty freaking awesome. I'm going to show you a few right now. We've got Troyzan here, Phil from The Amazing Race, JLP, host of Australian Survivor, and look, little Charlie. Anybody you could possibly imagine or want yourself playing an LRG or an ORG, or just with your loved one or family or pets or anything like that, shoot me a message. I'm happy to make it. You also have the chance to win a free custom pop if you sign up for Survivor Now Podcast Fantasy League. So it's pretty awesome. And it's fun. Like, who doesn't want to be a part of that? So yeah, hit me up, get your custom pops. It's great holiday gifts, great birthday gifts. We got a new season of Survivor right around the corner. I'm excited. I'm sure you're excited. Let's get this going.
When he said he had a Funko Pop of Phil, I screamed. I forgot for a second. I was like, whoa! But it was Phil from The Amazing Race. Todd does some really excellent work. So again, go check out his Instagram, especially if you have not seen his creations. They're incredible. But yes, and now we're not at a house party, unfortunately. We are at Tribal Council, and Charity is about to get voted out of this game quite closely. This was it was a good vote readout.
This
Do you
was-
know what? Yeah. Sorry, you
No,
go first,
go
Phil.
ahead, Ollie, please.
I was going to say, the fake out, I appreciated, like, well done, Jeff, because I was sat there being like, oh my God, they are about to do Say Dirty, and I'm so annoyed because, like, the main, like, one of the main characters of this season, like, what you going to do now? And then the fake out happened, and I was like, oh. And then it left you in suspense. I was like, who is actually going to go now? So, well done, editors. Well done, Jeff. Well done.
It shows they know their fan base. It shows that they know that we care enough to understand the edit and go on such a deep dive that they know how to subvert it. And that is my favorite. I love it. It shows that they care. It shows that they understand, once again, their audience, their show in the first place. And I'm going to keep it a buck. I was freaking fooled. I was sitting there being like, oh my God, Say's going out. When he ended up reading out the charity, which I expected to be the whatever person voted off, I like genuinely screamed. Like everyone in my apartment heard me get excited. So I wasn't expecting it. And so I really like that. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
That would have scared the crap out of me if I was in Say's position here. That was terrifying. And I'm a huge Say fan, so I also was I was like, no, I thought, did they set up the whole Mary Say duo just to psych us out for this moment? I thought that the vote reading was great. I love that they switched it up. Again, it was wonderful.
Yeah, but also I loved, and Roy kind of mentioned it in the chat, because there was this subtle moment where once you see the next vote come for Charity, you just see Say sit there, and I think this is the thing where she just smiles and where she's like, I'm good now. And I was like, that's where I kind of knew that she was safe, because you saw it was almost like Say had an idea. She knew she may have been getting votes, but I don't know. I just thought that was
tell you what, the way that she was looking before a charity vote was read, I think that she thought that it was up in the air.
Yeah.
Whether she obviously, I'm sure she threw out some sort of a plan. I'm sure she knew that there was another name swirling at some like possibility, but I think that she was stressing for sure. She was sweating.
Let's remember, Ollie, it was a good clue that she was staying in terms of how they, edited it. But sometimes, and I do just have to call them out on it, they do show clips from different parts of to show reaction. So that could be what happened too. But it's cool. She have that intuition. What?
I get excited for the next slide.
Oh, here we go. It is our vote out, and it is Charity.
Oh,
you know what? I like seeing the turtle shell every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who has? This is turned into like a funeral each time. Anyone want to say anything on behalf?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like it's what it should be. The fact that we always have this slide, it's a nice promise to our audience, promise to each other, right? We will always mourn the death of their game while we're looking at this frame. It feels silly to be talking about it when we're seeing other people. Like, this is Charity's moment. Charity, I'm going to say it again. I don't know what you did to a producer behind the scenes, but your edit, I think, like, they did you a little bit dirty. I think that almost all we saw of you was why people thought that you were sketchy or annoying or people side-eyeing you or you're, I think that they did a little bit too much. You seem like a very pleasant person. I think that on a lot of other seasons, I could see you doing a lot better. But this was just a lot of bad luck, in my opinion, and you will be missed.
Agreed. Charity, I feel like it was kind of damned if she did, damned if she didn't. Like, it was always a case of she was always going to be in this really tricky position. And I really did appreciate Charity this season. I loved some of her confessionals. There was just this little bit of sass that I'm like, I know that if I got to meet Charity and we got to like having a little bit of a kiki, I feel like we just have like a little bit of some sass, which I'd really appreciate. I definitely think she is someone that could have done really well. I just think it's unfortunate that with the dynamic, it did seem like from a game level, people really didn't trust her, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, that's what ended up happening. I think this was a very foreshadowed vote out. Someone before, Jay, was it you who put in the chat that people were saying that this was like the worst episode of the new era ever? I think that's a bit dramatic. I know you weren't saying it, but I know that. Yeah, I think that's a bit dramatic for people to say. I think it was a good episode. I think it was a solid episode. Just because they foreshadowed Charity's elimination, it doesn't mean anything. I agree with you, Phil. I feel a little bad. I feel a little bad about the edit that Charity got here. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you say what you say, and it fits in to the narrative that they have to tell the story about, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna put it from the point of view of the people who are staying in the game, and Charity fell outside of that. Oh, thanks, Jay. I wonder if Ollie will have some of those tweets for us in our next segment, which we like to call The Tribe Has Posted.
Sorry, before we start that, can we just, I love this comment from Jay. You say what you say, that's why you don't go for say. That was a very good quip, Jay. Well done. But yes, it's The Tribe Has Posted, where I stalk everyone's social medias and find all the little tea, the gossip, everything that they're feeling, because I want to. And they're everyone's social media is public, so I get to see it and have a say. So the first slide I have is actually the pre-jury. It's the pre-jury this was before the episode. And I thought it was so funny. It was kind of being like, who's coming next? Who's joining us? Like this, I love this pre-jury. They're so cute. Like just how they're really like close and stuff. Like I love it. But yeah, obviously Thomas, I want to say Bianca's in the middle, and Kevin all posted stuff. I feel like I liked Kevin's the most of come join us tonight. It's better on this side, we promise. That was quite funny. So yeah, pre-jury doing their thing. Which
I just realized pre-jury 5 or 6 people. Let's do a pre-jury season where everyone who is on the pre-jury is on their own tribe. Oh, I'm gonna pitch that. I'm gonna send an email. All right.
Get typing. The next slide we have is 2 tweets that I found, one from David, one from Mitch. So it's David kind of addressing his confessional, a moment. Seeing how many of you are upset about the physical threats joining together only further proves the need for it. Thank you for the validation. And in his lovely way, not that I needed it. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say big shout to Mitch's tweet. That's totally a thing that I thought. I read it like genuinely the exact thought that I had. I was like, man, Mitch has been probably more consistent than anyone else in these challenges. And it's just wild that he did not make this strong personal alliance. But it seems like it's more of an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you've got, like, Mitch has been killing the challenges. And another person I want to give credit for who has been killing the challenges is Mary. I feel like we have seen her doing, like, really well in certain things. Like, we see the edit, and it was like when they were going through the mud. Like, Mary whipped through that. Like,
she did.
Like, and I kind of agree with you, Phil, when I think Matthew said it, like, it could just be a more aesthetic reason. But yeah, Mitch, obviously, another strong challenge performance, but somehow not strong enough for the... This is what's interesting for me. For the Strong Six Alliance, though, David, Kyle, Shaheen, Joe, Eva. Who's number 6?
That's 5.
David?
I know. Who's number 6?
Is it? We have David,
David,
Kyle, Joe, Shaheen,
Eva.
Eva.
They're always the 5 that get mentioned.
Wasn't it always 5?
Yeah, so this is why another reason I wanted to put this tweet in, because he specifically said the Strong Six, and I'm like, who's the 6? That's why I keep an eye on the social medias. So the next tweets or stuff I have is the moment from between Cedric and Star. Cedric kind of mentions everything that he's going on. And even in the kind of thing where he quote tweets, Mr. Mike Bloom, we love you. Exactly what I needed, exactly when I needed it. And I love that he was bringing attention to this because I don't feel like it got that much attention, but I feel like it was kind of a really nice, pure moment that I wish people showcase. I will say Survivor did put it as a reel today, so they are pushing it. Just what I mentioned. So the next tweet is just some funny ones. It was Camilla responding to when Mary talked about the dog park. Woof, woof, woof. Got that dog in me. The other one, the one in the middle is Say, and it's a clip of the floor where it's clearly desserts. It was chocolate chip cookies. It was brownies.
I love that show.
And yeah, it was literally, she is saying, this really was me back at the camp after the merch feast. And I had to do it. Milk. Milk. Moving on. The next one. So these next two things are Mary, because it's a quote tweet from Kelly. F the milk. I'll have what Mary's having. A cup of every morning. None of that 2% beer. Loved that from Mary. And then this other tweet. Do you remember how I put a few episodes back about Mary's beef with this username called Broccoli, and how like she'd turn him into salad because they're beef?
Yeah, I do remember you mentioning that.
Well, the saga continues because Shaheen said made the merge though. Broccoli, Stephanie, Kevin, Justin, Bianca, and Charity. Shaheen is shading you thoughts, and you've got Mary being like, no, Broccoli, I tell you, stay out of it. This saga I just am enjoying, so I had to put it in there because I thought it was really funny. I know Matthew has no idea and doesn't care as much as me, but
hey, I'm always against vegetables, so it's okay.
So yeah, broccoli. Stuff it. And then the final one I have is Charity. And what I really loved is that she was really putting it out there. The two at the sides are her Instagram story, and then she made a little Insta post. But this is like thanking everyone. The middle is just talking about her and Mitch, which I think is a really sweet thing because we really did see Mitch and Charity bond. And I think it's quite clear even afterwards that they have remained really close. So I love the fact that even though she had kind of thanked everyone when it, like on her Insta story, like people do like the Instagram post to make it official that this is my thank you. She took the time to give Mitch some love, which I really appreciated. And then obviously the one on the right is her auditioning to be a part of Bondi, whatever the Steve Irwin thing is.
Oh, that's really sweet post. I like that a lot. You know, I think it shows that that's one of her fondest things from this experience is her relationship with Mitch. So that's really sweet.
Yeah, it's really sweet. And now it's time for the polls. Yes. So for reminding people, we post polls on our X account at Survivor Now Pod. We will post them normally on Thursdays, and you have the chance to vote on them, and we see the results here. So the first poll I had was, how much milk do you drink daily?
None.
I daily, I would say daily, none. Like every now and again, I will have milk, like once every 2 weeks or so. But
I have oat milk with coffee. Like, does that count?
Yeah, try. I do oat milk.
Okay.
I think
I don't drink oat milk. So no, I don't drink oat milk. I put it in something. It's like a little touch.
Yeah, it's like a mix. Okay, yeah, no, none.
So you're going none. I hate milk, Phil.
Yeah, I'm going none. Yeah, none.
Well, I can confirm that with 48% of the vote, everyone else said none. I hate milk. It was quite close though. It was 39 to 48. So, no one Well, we can tell that Joe and David did not vote in this poll.
Clearly.
Clearly, you can tell that. And do you know what? I was tempted to at him and be like, "Would you like to vote in this poll?" But he did.
Did
not.
you see Jay drinks a cup of almond milk with cereal almost daily? Nice, Jay.
Good for you. So the next poll that we have is: what are your thoughts on Earn the Merge? Love it, great twist. Better with one person immune. It's all right, no thoughts. Hate it, change it. Matthew?
I'm fine with it if it's one person is immune. This is X. I think the majority of people will say hate it, change it.
Phil?
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Genuinely.
Well, you'd be right with 43% of the vote. Hate it, change it. But 29% did say better with one person immune. So
which it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I feel like we're slowly getting there. Like I think that hopefully, maybe by next season, if I do this question again, we will see something change. There might be a shift in the balance, but you never know. And the final poll that we had was: what was the best analogy for what was happening in the game?
House
the house
party, baby.
Dogs at the dog park, dysfunctional family, and Jeff's Dancing with the Stars bonding.
It's gotta be the house party.
Yeah, it's the house party. Yeah, it's definitely the house party.
It's definitely the house party. Definitely the house party.
Yeah, all right answers. Let's see.
Nope. 56% said dogs at the dog park.
It's very weird, but I guess
house party only got 13%. Dysfunctional family got more.
Strange.
Hey, that's X for you. This is not my job. I just make the polls. Everyone else votes in them. But yeah, as a reminder, please follow us on Survivor Now at Survivor Now Pod on X, because we will post some more polls next week. So that's me done.
And look, I just want to call out one last thing before we wrap up here. And I don't know how we didn't talk about it. Star's Star's voting booth. Her very first time voting. That was the funniest thing I have seen in a really long time. I was genuinely laughing. It's so Star, and I think that is the whole thing. Is that I'm starting to understand Star. She is so goofy, then she's silly, and she tries to be performative, but she's a little bit clumsy. And it's she's just she's so fun. I love that. I love that for her. I loved it, and I also loved Eva following it up, being like, "Why does everything look like garlic?" That was so good, so funny. I was like, "These are hilarious." I really dig this.
I will say I did have a story from Eva of her saying, why does it all look like garlic? But I obviously didn't want to oversaturate the tweets. But yeah,
it's good.
Phil, I'm glad you brought that up. It was very charming to see them all go into the voting booth confessional. That was probably the funniest part of the episode for me, was both Star and Eva. So thank you.
It is always funny when someone is trying to be a little bit performative and then they screw up, and then you're just and she's oh my god, I'm so sorry. That is so funny. That was hilarious.
It's fun when you're in on it with the person, because sometimes you see people who may do it obnoxiously, and that has its own satisfaction of seeing them F up a little bit, but it is fun with Star. We're there with you. It's fun. It's all good.
So fun.
All right, everyone. I had a phenomenal time talking about this mergatory, earn the merge, whatever it is, with all of you. The term is loose now. We'll see what happens next season when we come back and see, will this continue evolving? Phil, Ollie, as always, thank you so much for being here and talking about this episode with me. And to all of you in the live chat, Jay, you were on fire today. And to everyone else who contributed as well. Roy, always good to see you. Let me give some more shout outs. Chris, of course, as always. And Rob. Special shout out to Rob as well. With that, we are going to end the podcast here. As always, you can find us streaming on Saturdays. If you are in the US, it is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. on the Pacific side of the United States. And Ollie?
8 p.m.
Amazing. As always, you all know the schedule and you have your other podcasters that you check in throughout the rest of the week. We plugged our Australian Survivor podcast a little bit earlier in the episode, but if you're watching that, please feel free to come join us on Thursdays. But for that, we are going to leave it here for now. We will see you all next week. Thank you all so much again. Have a good week, everyone.